Guys, I'm just taking the opportunity to just have 5 minutes by the pool before semester starts because it's going to be a big one. What have we got coming up in today's session? We're going to have a look at what we've got coming up in the first few weeks. Important sessions coming up in those kind of 4 key modules. And we're going to take a quick look at some of the biography responses. We'll do a tweet of the week. We've got some extra training opportunities, and then we'll leave it there for today. But stay tuned, and I look forward to chatting to you over the next sort of 15 minutes or so. I'll get the transition right, don't worry. Let's sack off the music, just 1 second. Okay. I'm still on the beach, which is not encouraging. Just one moment while I figure this out. Let's get there. Finally. Whew. Okay. Let me just get this blaring music from out of my ears, and then we will continue on from there. I mentioned to some of you before about the banging tunes that I'd found for this stream, and I'm super happy about them all. So basically we're going to start with some of the kind of important updates from some of the module leaders that we've got. So we've got Claire, we've got Teddy, we've got Sanjoy, and we've also got Jane, and they're going to be covering concepts and principles, nutrition performance, practitioner skills for sports nutritionists, and research methods for health sciences 1. So I don't know about you, but that to me, that sounds like news, of which we need to get over to now. Welcome to the news desk. If you guys haven't seen the news desk before, then this is kind of what it looks like. It's an opportunity for me to just start. So my chap behind me, he's gone. We've got rid of him, so it's just me now, looking like a news correspondent. Though I was kind of looking at the proportions of this desk and thinking that I'm a massive person sat at a very tiny desk, but it's fine. You get the general idea. So we're going to talk about concepts and principles first. Now, I had a quick chat with Claire just to get a bit of an overview as to what she wants to share with you this time, and we're going to get straight into those updates right now. So let's just transfer over to our presentation slide, and we'll go from there. So let's get some updates here from you now. So your first session, as in your first formal teaching session, will be with Claire on concepts and principles. Now, I kind of half mentioned this to you, some of you earlier on in the session today, for those of you that attend, but I know that only about sort of 10 of you came, and that's fine. I appreciate it was a session that was a little bit out of the blue, but essentially if we head across, we're going to head across to Claire's Blackboard site in a second, but Claire's going to basically just get a bit of a feel for what kind of information you guys and what basic nutrition knowledge some of you guys have got, so that she can inform what content she's going to include within the sessions. So there is an expected knowledge entry quiz that she's made available on her Blackboard site, but I've actually got it open here. So I'm going to share that with you now, and you can see it here. So if you go into the study materials section here, you will then see week 1. If you click on week 1, you will then see the first session she's already got loaded up there. I'm not going to click on that now because that will start showing you the content that Claire's going to be presenting next week. I don't want to ruin it for you, but what I do want to show you is the nutrition knowledge quiz. Now, it's you required to submit your email address, so I'd recommend that you use your Westminster University email address, and particularly if you need to sign in to actually use this Google form, make sure you're using your university account and not your personal Gmail account if you've got a personal Gmail account. And you can see here that she's just got some pretty sort of standard nutrition / physiology / metabolism questions going on here for you to take a look at. So what does the term anabolism mean? You've got a few different options there that you can choose from, and you can kind of go through. Now, this would be good for you guys too. It'll just give you an opportunity to test your own knowledge before you go ahead and start working on the concepts and principles module. But it also gives us as the course team like a bit of an understanding as to what the nutrition range is. Now, you're not being assessed on this. Like, it's not going to contribute to your university marks in any way, shape or form. But what it would do is just help you set that benchmark to sort of say, okay, well, this is where I am now. This is the outcome that I've got on this assessment. Again, it's not assessment, but this sort of small test. And then Hopefully this will then inform the tutors on the course as to where I'm at. Now that's fine. Whatever you score in this course, on this little quiz, is fine. It doesn't matter. It'll just signpost to you and also to the course team. Maybe some people who are coming in with a slightly lesser knowledge, or some of the people that are excelling, and some of the people that just, they're at about the level we would expect you to be at. So do take the opportunity to fill this in. You'll get feedback from it. Claire will go through the answers and stuff with you, and it will be a really nice opportunity for you to do that. Let's just scoot back over to those course updates. Yep, so the link for that is already on the slides that I just showed you. So if you go onto the first lecture session, you'll see the little link in the bottom. It's probably best you do that before you go to the first session, and there you're off kind of straight off the bat. You've already done it. You tick that box. You've already got some feedback in terms of your score, and then you can kind of then listen to Claire and see what exactly it is she's going to do with those and how it's going to inform her teaching from that point onwards. The second thing she's wanted me to update you about is the first coursework. Now you need to make a selection on your theme for coursework 1 by a specific date that's on the module timetable. So again, let's head across back over to the module Blackboard site. If we go into module pro forma and timetable, you can see the timetables here. If we click on that, it should open it up for us, and then we'll just have a quick see. I haven't seen this myself yet, so let's have a quick look. So we've got the timetable here. You can see where all of your different rooms and such like, but we can see here by 4th of October, 5 p.m, deadline for outline of critical review, 150 words max, just a summary, and you can submit that via a form there. So this is all new information for you, and that's fine. So don't get freaked out. Just take the opportunity to go have a look at the form, have a look at what your critical review plan topic area is, see what the different themes are, and make sure you get that boxed off by the 4th of October. You'll be reminded about this in Concepts and Principles, but just giving you a heads up before we start. So if you're kind of looking for something to do on a Friday evening, why don't you take a look at the assessment themes, and then you can kind of go from there. Let's scoot back over to I think that's all the updates from Concepts and Principles. Just another thing that I'd like to show you all on the Concepts and Principles website, or Blackboard site should I say, is the reading list. Now every single module should have a reading list, and if they don't, then please let me know and I can try and make sure that the module leader puts one up. But you can see here, so we've got Concepts and Principles and Nutrition, and if we head down towards the reading list, which is actually just behind my microphone down here, let me see if I can scroll down and bring it up. It's basically just down here. If I click on reading list, it'll take me to this link here. If I click on the link, we can see that the Concepts and Principles of Human Nutrition reading list is here, and we can see various different texts all the way down through the different things. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is still current for Concepts and Principles this year, though Claire may have the opportunity, sorry about that, to add in or change some different texts. But essentially, you can click on these different documents and it will take you through. If it says view online, that means it's available online. You can view the stuff on there as well. So do take a look at the reading lists on your individual module sites, because it will give you lots of information and lots of extra reading on the particular modules and the different subject areas that you might be interested in. How do you negotiate that? You might look at this and go, geez, that's a lot of information that I've got to read. Now, the way that I tend to load these up is by indicating whether something is essential or further reading. And if it says essential, you want to read it. If it says further, if you're particularly interested in that subject area, you want to find out more, that would be a good opportunity for you to go away and read a little bit more from a good source of information that's been led by your module leader. Now, do take the opportunity to go and do that and take a look. Okay, let's head back over to the next module. So I believe we've got practitioner skills for sports nutritionists. Now, those that attended the extra research session today would have met Sanjoy Deb, Dr. Sanjoy Deb. He's just joined us this year as a lecturer in sport and exercise nutrition, and he will be taking on practitioner skills for sports nutritionists. Now, he's not giving me too many specific instructions for you ahead of your first session next week, but things that he does want you to do is just have a look at these different topics. So you'll be discussing topics such as the idea that sports nutritionists are problem solvers. So have a discussion around that. Think about different problems that you've achieved or that you've overcome before you enrolled on the course here, and see how you can try to identify different areas where sports nutritionists are actually required to solve specific problems. the idea of a nutritionist or a sports nutritionist as a cog within a larger interdisciplinary sports science discipline, so, or sports science team. So what does that mean? Like, if you're a nutritionist, what other different expertise might you find while on a particular sports team that would help inform any intervention that you would use? So is that working with a physiologist? Is it working with a coach? Is it working with the parents if it's a junior athlete? Like, how could you look at the whole interdisciplinary sports science approach, and how would you approach it from a sports nutritionist perspective? And the final stage is this idea of combining science and art. So this idea of deep and comprehensive interpersonal skills and the ability to try and convince someone that you want them to do your intervention. So that's the case of, if you're asking someone to calorie restrict by 200 or 300 kilocalories a day, and they're also doing, 10, 15 hours a week of training, for example, they're going to feel pretty miserable about that. And it's about then you as a sports nutritionist having those skills to be able to turn around and go, do you know what? These are the different things you want to place. I know it's not great. I know it's not going to work for you on these days, but here's some different tips that we can try and put into place. And here's Dan, he's also on your team. He's going to help you out as well. He's doing a similar program. Maybe you guys could get in on a WhatsApp, whatever it is. Like, that line between knowing the knowledge and then translating it and giving it to your athlete is super important as a sports nutritionist. And I think it's one of the things that is vastly underappreciated within our field. So it's no point in taking up, going up to someone and saying, you need to take this amount of grams per kilo of protein because it'll increase your anabolic response post-exercise because the amino acid availability. Most athletes not going to understand that, not going to appreciate it. So you need to be able to translate it, put it into a form that they can understand, and deliver it in a way that they're actually going to take on your intervention. So that's what Sanjoy is going to focus on within practitioner skills for sports nutritionists. Be a really good module. I'm really looking forward to Sanjoy working on that for the first time this year. It should be really good. He was giving me some insight as to some of the speakers he's got coming on this time. They sound really exciting. So get to the session, get involved, and have a think about these different areas before you move forward. Okay, let's move on to research methods for health scientists 1. Now, this is going to be run by Dr. Teddy Sagom, I think is how you pronounce his second name. He's a senior lecturer. Again, he's just joined us this year. We'll be taking on research methods for the first time. And he's a stats geek. That's what he does. He's interested in understanding numbers and statistical relationships in data sets. And he's hopefully going to teach you how to use your skill sets and how to understand the data that you guys are collecting and using to give a rounder, more comprehensive understanding about whether that intervention was useful, important, whether it worked or not. So I asked Teddy, what do you want our guys to do before the session? Not too much again. I'd strongly recommend that you go on, have a look at the Blackboard site. We're going to have a quick look at that in a second. Familiarize yourself with the timetable, because for research methods for health sciences 1, it's a little bit more comprehensive. So do make sure you have a look. But one thing that Teddy has asked, and it's a difficult ask, but we're going to throw it out there anyway, is that anyone that has a laptop or some form of mobile computing device that is able to install programs to bring it with them to the session. So I would say a laptop would be more appropriate than a tablet or a phone or anything like that. If you don't have one, don't worry. We'll make sure that you have available resources when you get to the session, so don't feel like you have to go out and buy anything like that. But if you do have one available with you, bring it with you. Should help with the session, and it'll help you interact with the students and get right on board with the sessions as you move through. So let's have a quick look at the module site for that. I've got practitioner skills. Have a look at that one as well. We've got postgraduate research methods for health sciences 1. Here you'll find the module handbook. It will explain all the assessments. You'll get all that next week anyway. Let's have a look at the timetable, because the timetable is way more comprehensive on this module than anywhere else. So looks mental, but don't worry, we won't get too stressed out. So let's have a quick zoom in and have a look. So we can see here the classrooms differ from week to week. So from weeks 1 to 4, you're in Cavendish 2.14, big room, so it should be nice and comfy in there. And then in weeks 5, 7, 8, and 11, you're in a computer room, which is Cavendish C201. This will show up on your individual student timetables, but always good to know. But you can see here that this module is split into 2 sessions typically within that 3-hour period. 3 hours is a hell of a long time to keep everyone interested. I have to stand in front of students for 3 hours, and it can become quite challenging. So having these split sessions can really help kind of break it up, make it a little bit more engaging. You've got a general introduction to the module, understanding scientific research, and an introduction to SPSS with Teddy. And then Eliza's going to come in and talk about exploring different traditions in research. Now, they've also given you some extra directed studies here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this so I can see it and you guys can see it as well. So there's an SPSS tutorial module handbook. Have a look at that. And then a paper from Liza here, the principles and application of qualitative research. Take a look at it, and there's also some recommended videos which are going to be available on Blackboard as well. So be proactive, get involved with the literature, get involved with the directed studies, and make sure you attend the sessions. But great module, really core module across the two MSc programs, and this module will really help set you up well for when you want to undertake your research projects later on. And also just generally understanding scientific papers as a whole, how you can critically appraise them, apply them, which is going to be a super key skill for when you do Claire's Concepts and Principles of Nutrition Assessment 1, which is the short essay. So do take a look at that. Okay, the final module we're going to talk about is the Nutrition and Performance module, which is being run by Jane. Again, Jane is a senior lecturer. Most of you have met her so far, but if you haven't, you'll definitely get the opportunity to do that. So these sessions will run on Tuesdays from 2 till 5. In Clipstone room C1111 will be your first session on Tuesday the 25th. So yeah, I've said that concepts is your thing. This is actually your first session from 2 to 5 if you discount Pat's. Sorry, I'm talking absolute nonsense. I try and keep up to speed, but essentially Jane's going to give you a bit of an introduction to the module, talking about assessments, and then a short introduction to the idea of performance nutrition, so how it differs from concepts and principles, and how it's a bit more geared and specific towards sport and exercise nutrition and its application. In the last hour, you'll then have a tutorial designed to help you with your coursework, which is always good to get off the bat and start working towards. So again, check out the assessments for this module. They're a little bit different for the other ones. So do have a look at the module handbook and timetable. She's asked you to just keep an eye out for announcements on Blackboard. So every time someone puts an announcement out on Blackboard, you will then definitely see it come through on your emails from there. So do take a chance to have a look, and then we'll go from there. The final thing that I want to share with you, and this is not available to you on Blackboard as yet, but it will be available as of this evening or tomorrow morning. So the PAT schedule, it won't show in your CMIS Go timetable, your student timetable. As I was saying to the guys today, unfortunately, the university doesn't seem to want to recognize it as an academic tutorial or entity, body, whatever. So it does exist. The room will be Clipstone 1.112. So if you were present today for the research thing, our little breakout session at the end is the room that it's going to be in. So make sure you head across to there. And we can see here the timetable. The first thing that you're going to go through is just a little bit of information about mitigating circumstances, which is essentially if stuff in your life goes wrong during an assessment and you feel like you're being sort of hard done by and you won't get your assessment done, you can submit a mitigating circumstances form. Jessica's going to talk to you about how to do that. Super useful. Stuff goes wrong in life. If you know what your options are, at least you can then go ahead and get those sorted out and involved. Regina's going to talk to you about profiles, reflective journalism, plagiarism. They're going to give you an opportunity to use the plagiarism test for Turnitin. Again, plagiarism is a big thing within universities, particularly with this, like the idea of you being able to email someone and they just send you an essay, which is not kind of cricket these days, but that's something, a very real thing that we have to deal with. So ensuring that we don't plagiarize and how to avoid doing so. And again, it's just an education as to what plagiarism is and how you can try and avoid it when you do your written work. Then there's a bit of a team quiz, and then where am I? A time challenge followed by a development university map. So Regina's going to take you all on a walk around the campus just to give you a little bit more insight as to what's where, how to get there, where you can get the most out of the campus and stuff like that. So you can see that we've then got designing and preparing posters, writing a nutrition essay, working in groups. There's lots of different acute training sessions which will really keep you involved and really add to your skill set as you move forward throughout the course. So I'll make this available later on today. I just want to make sure that the version I've got is the most up-to-date version, and then we can kind of go from there and see how we're going on from there. Okay, let's have a bit of a change of scene, and we'll head over to here. So, first of all, let's just head over to, sorry, one second. Let's just head over to our biography submissions. So I've put them here. Now, I'm not going to read them all out, but first of all, I just want to have a look at the summary of the 10 responses I've received so far. So big, huge thank you to Josh, Dakota, Sinead, Alex, Victoria, Vicky, second year student, smashing it out again for the second year in a row. Good job. Evangeline, Chloe, Edward, Goya, and Ted. Now, you've all said I'd like to be called something else, or most of you had. I'll get that. I'll just need to learn, but we'll get there eventually. So I apologize if I've pronounced your names wrong. But the thing is, well done. Congratulations for filling in the biographies. I'm still waiting for the other 12. So if that's you, come on. Get it together. Get it sorted out before Monday. And we'll get them submitted. But I'm just going to look through the first 3 that have been submitted. So first of all, congratulations to Josh, because if you're number 1, that means you were the first to submit it. So congratulations. What do you like to be called? We'll get nothing apparently, but we'll go with Josh. He's submitted a photo. I'm not going to put it up here, Josh, don't worry, but it will be in the full guide afterwards. Josh from the UK. His interests sound fairly similar to mine. Carbohydrate intake during endurance exercise, pre-exercise and post-exercise meals. Fantastic. So how can we optimize nutritional strategies for endurance exercise? Sounds like you're on the right course, to be honest with you. Hopes for the course: gain a good understanding of core nutrition principles and how you can apply this in a sports setting. Again, excellent. And career aims: work in a professional sport as a performance nutritionist and sports scientist. So practitioner skills for sports nutritionist is going to be a good module for you, so definitely get involved. Introduce yourself to Sanjoy, because I believe you wouldn't have had a chance to meet him today, but definitely introduce him to Sanjoy, and yeah, we can get the ball rolling from there. I keep waving from side to side because the webcam is right in the middle of my screen, but it's okay, we'll get there. Okay, next submission would be from Dakota. Again, we'll skip things. From Belgium, excellent. Nutritional interests, the effects of vegan diet on people. This could be weight gain, weight loss, muscle gain, or overall health benefits. So almost like a slight global public health slant on the outlook there, but with a sort of nutrition and exercise focus, which is really nice. The effect of nutrition on an athlete: if certain diet choices hinder or optimize the performance, recovery, or make them prone to injury. Excellent, good stuff. Career aims: work with athletes, team to get them through the optimize their performance, reduce their injury risk and recovery. Fantastic. Now, it'd be interesting to see if you identify or come across various different interventions that actually help with recovery. So I did a conversation article which was picked up by a newspaper, which looked at nutritional strategies to aid aid injury recovery. And some of the interventions that are used are not as obvious as you've seen. So for example, some endurance athletes would tend to reduce their calorie consumption in the fear that they would gain a lot of weight because they're suddenly not expending as much energy anymore. When in actual fact, what will happen there is you'll lose muscle mass, and if you lose muscle mass, you're losing functional mass, which will actually in the long term make you slower. So some suggestions from some researchers, and one would be Kev Tipton up in Stirling in particular, would be that you actually maintain or slightly increase your calorie consumption if you're off your feet or injured for a given period of time, because that will actually have a protective effect of your muscle mass. Rather than a detrimental effect of losing muscle mass. Now, granted, you'll have a positive energy balance, which will mean that you will gain mass, but the likelihood is it will be fat mass and a little bit of carb storage. Like your carb storage will go mental during that period, but most of it will be fat mass. And as such, it's easier to lose fat mass in the long term if you still have some muscle mass available, whereas in relative terms, it's actually much more difficult to regain the muscle mass as quickly than it is to lose the fat mass. So interesting article. There's a review article by Kev Tipton. Have a look it up. You should be able to see it and then go from there. The final one, I said I'd do the first 3. Here we are. So we got Sinead here. No photo Sinead, but that's okay. That's fine. I wouldn't put one up either, but that's fine. Nutritionist, all of it. We're going to have to narrow that down a bit, but that's fine. But with a particular interest in protein and carbohydrate metabolism, muscle repair and hypertrophy in a CrossFit style athletes. We're gonna have to have a look at this idea of a CrossFit athlete, because I'm not sold yet. I appreciate there's competitions, but what does it mean to be an athlete? I'm not sure. Let's put a framework around that and see if we can get something out of it. I'd say CrossFit was more of an activity, but I can be sold otherwise. Hopes for the course: build technical, practical research and coaching and science knowledge, meet people in the field, and opportunity to begin research and have fun doing it. I sincerely hope that we all have a bit of fun doing a bit of research over the coming years. Excellent. We're going to move on to another little feature that we've got here. So we're going to have I'm not as active on Twitter as I'd like to be, but I do like to share a tweet of the week. So we're going to start with one of the big hitters in sport and exercise nutrition. Let me just make this full screen for you so we can all see what's going on. Here we go. Those scene transitions are not as easy as you think they would be, but there we are. So we've got Stu Phillips here. So let's just scroll up and have a look at who the hell Dr. Stu Phillips is. He's actually a prof. He is from the University of McMaster in Canada. Stu Phillips, if you've ever come across any of his work, is a big protein feeding guy. So he looks at post-exercise, pre-exercise, habitual, holistic protein consumption and its effects on muscle mass, function, particularly in the elderly, particularly in aging populations. But I was lucky enough to go out to dinner with Stu on Friday, as a PhD buddy of mine is his postdoc, and we sat there and had a beer. To be honest with you, we didn't talk much science at all, and if we did, we were just taking the mick out of various different researchers that we know. Nice old jest, I'm sure that would happen reciprocally. But Stu was in the UK because he went to Europhysiology conference, which was held in London this time. Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky enough to go this year, but he posted this particular photograph here. And this was a breakout kind of SketchUp like doodle, if you like, on the walls at Europhysiology. And they had group discussions, and someone there was recording what was discussed. And basically the question was measures of strength. So how can you measure strength in early years, adulthood, and older years? Now this has nutritional relevance, because if we can measure strength, then we can measure change in strength over a given period of time. And if we can measure change in strength, we can then look at the effectiveness of a nutritional strategy. And let's just thought this was really nice. And there's a few of them, actually. There's one here about measures of strength. There's another one here, strength throughout the life cycle. Again, if you're interested in developmental nutritional and specifically those interventions that improve or change functional mass over time, then definitely take a look at these different tweets. So check him out. His handle is @MackinProf. Professor Stuart Phillips, really nice guy, really good guy to follow on Twitter. Super active, shares a lot of real high quality work with his followers, and yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. Let me just have a look at my schedule. Okay, the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is an additional training opportunity that the University of Northampton hosts each year. Now, let me just get this up. I'm going to stick you onto this one just for now. Now, this is the International Sport and Exercise Nutrition Conference. It's held in Newcastle every year, just before the December period. Just at the end of December, just before the Christmas period. So it's held on the 18th to the 20th of December. It's a really good conference to get yourself to. If you're looking for extra sort of training opportunities and extra developmental opportunities, if you like, then this is definitely one that you would want to get yourself to. So let's just have a quick look at the program. I'll make you full screen again. So you can see here there's a performance theme, and there's also a nutrition, exercise, and health theme. Now, in terms of big names that are attending this, it doesn't really get much bigger than the names provided here. So Clyde Williams, massive kind of grandfather, if you like, of exercise physiology within the UK, basically invented sport and exercise nutrition as an academic pathway, if you like. We've got Louise Burke, again, in sport and exercise nutrition world, is a huge hitter. She is head of the nutrition and performance of Australian Institute of Sport. James Morton, he is the sport and exercise nutritionist that works with Team Sky, as in Team Sky, who the cycling team. We've got Trent Stellingworth, who in that introductory lecture I gave you, he created the time that figure where we basically looked at if you were exercising for 5 hours, how much carbohydrate you would want to feed. So again, he's the performance nutritionist for Sport Canada, or Canadian Sport. Gaz Wallace is a senior lecturer up in the University of Birmingham. Asker Ukendrup used to be professor at University of Birmingham, and now is the head of the Gatorade Institute of Sport and Exercise Science. Lots of big names to go. Well worth going to. Now, the reason I mention it now is because there is an opportunity for the early bird things. Now, this isn't free, okay? Just to throw it out there. If you go to 3 days, you'd need to stay there as well. But again, the networking opportunities afforded by the conference are really good. But definitely, there's an early bird registration, which means that if you're a student and you sign up to go up to the conference before the 30th of September, you get it for a little bit cheaper. So I think the going rate for a full-time student, pre-approved, again, I'll send the list, would be £260 for the full conference. That's really good value. So again, if you can stump up the cash and you can get yourself to Newcastle for a few days, it's really worth going if you want to develop yourself. Again, it's just an additional training opportunity I'm just making you aware of, but if it's not for you, absolutely fine, no pressure whatsoever. But do check it out, have a look. I'll put a link on Blackboard, and then you can go from there. I've just realized I haven't gone on and looked at any of the chat, so let's just see if anyone has submitted any questions. And this is when everyone panics, jumps on the keyboard and goes, oh, I should have submitted something, but here we are. So we've got the live chat. I can't see anyone's name there just at the moment, but I'm not entirely sure if anyone is watching live. And if you're there, give us a shout out. Just something that indicates that you're there. I'll give you 10 seconds just to see if anyone has been watching live. It'd be good to see if you have. But if not, and you're watching this afterwards, then the schedule for the stream will continue to be at 11 o'clock each Thursday, and we'll take this kind of format. This has been 32 minutes, which is a lot longer than I thought it would be, but I think we'll get a little bit slicker, and we'll try and make sure that it's just pinned down to be a little bit more efficient. But hopefully, if you're watching it afterwards, because I'm not getting any feedback on the live chat, if you're watching it back afterwards, hopefully you found it useful. And yeah, so I look forward to seeing you all kind of buzzing around the different lecture theatres next week. It's going to be an intense week next week. It's going to be really full on, actually. You'll find lots of different things that are going to be a lot of new information and just a lot to take in, really. So just go into it, arms wide open, eyes wide open, taking in as much information as you can. If you're struggling or you need help, please do come and ask one of the module leaders or email me and we can try and give you a hand. But other than that, best of luck for the first week, and I look forward to working with you all over the semester ahead. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.